The immortal life of Henrietta Lacks was very interesting.
Henrietta Lacks had immortal cancer cells in her cervix. Doctors cut the cells from her tumor and they lived forever. They could be replicated under the right circumstances.
The author said that if you take all her cells that have been replicated since today, they could wrap 3 times around the Earth, despite how small cells are. This took place from the mid-1900s to the late 1900s. Scientists did many things with these cancer cells. They made a polio vaccine, they took them up to the moon, and they even did atomic bomb testing.
The author Rebecca Skaloot wrote this book for 2 main purposes: to explain how human consent forms were made and how her family dealt with all of this. She had a huge family because cousin married cousins back then. Most of Henrietta's kids were young while she died, and she had a lot of them.
The doctors didn't tell Henrietta's family about her cells, which was making millions of dollars.
Scientists called Henrietta's cells HeLa cells for short because those were the beginning initials of her name. Her doctor, George Gay, felt the need to keep her name a secret. Even the media didn't know her secret. They weren't giving the family the money they so rightly deserved. This is the house that Henrietta grew up in, and you can tell that they were pretty poor.
When the media found out Henrietta's name, they bombarded the family with questions they didn't want to or they couldn't answer.
The doctors were telling the children that they were testing them to make sure they didn't have cancer, but they were really just taking cells out of them to test them.
This brings up human consent.
Scientists injected HeLa cells into minors such as prisoners and African Americans. They did not know that there was cancer cells being injected into them. These cruel scientists were from great institutions like Tuskegee and Johns Hopkins where Henrietta was treated.
Patients caught on to the scientists and wanted to sue them because they were violating their human rights. The argument between the patients and the scientists went on for a while, but finally the patients won and human consent forms were. All human testing objects now had the right to know everything that was going on with them when they were part of an experiment. I recommend you read this book because it gives a scientific insight and a personal story, so cells that live forever. It was almost immortal.